thanks so much for joining me for this Get Ready With Me featuring this new Tom Ford palette. Thank you for returning if you saw the first video or the swatching video or both. This one in the comments section looked like you wanted to see this either first or second, so I thought we would do this one today, plus going out to dinner soon, so I thought it was a perfect time to try this out. This is in 36 Tiger Eye. It's one of the 3 new palettes by Tom Ford with this creme formula, which is a powder cream formula. So I'll definitely get to the 3rd one next, but let's go ahead and get started. I wanted to revisit this Vanish Airbrush Primer by Hourglass. I've only used it a couple times now, so I want to try it out some more. It does feel quite smoothing on the skin. Okay, I want to go in with this Sublimage L'Essence de Teint because I picked up a couple of, actually 3 new foundations by Chanel. This is the one that I would be ranking them against in terms of any Chanel products. I'd like to just revisit this one just so I can remember some details about it. So I've got mine in the shade B40. Yeah, it has such a lovely texture. I like this because it has a lovely balance about it. It's hydrating, you can feel the hydration in there, but it also does adhere to the skin quite well. Yeah, so it's not sitting on top of the skin, it really meshes nicely. So right now to me that's like a more serious version of something like this, the number 1. This is very fluid, lightweight. This has more of a foundation feel to it, this one, versus this. This is more like a skin tint kind of feel to it. Okay, actually it doesn't look like I need too much concealer at this point. I have my Chanel Snow Globe back there now. One of you mentioned I should add it back there. So thank you for the mention to place that back there. Clé de Peau Mocha. This should work really nicely with this shade because this is a bit cooler as well. Yeah, I feel like this is a bit cooler than the other shade that I have, the other Mocha in the formula previous to this one. La Prairie concealer next, just in these very targeted areas right here. I'm gonna go in with the RODIAL glass powder. I don't know about availability right now. I'll try and put some links though below. Perfect Blur Powder by CHANTECAILLE. I'm skipping the eye base because this formula, it clings really well to the skin, so I don't want to add anything else that might interfere. So I'm wondering if yesterday when I used the Rose Topaz, when I used this one, this color really clung very well, but I wonder if it's because I had that eye base underneath. I didn't even think about it just because I always add it. But today we're going to try without and see what happens. Gucci Brow. Then the ROEN pencil just for the front and the tail and detail. Diorshow Pump and Brow. So I had a question about these bronzers by Chanel. I have 2 of them. I applied the cream on top of powder. Now I will try different combinations of things. I don't keep myself to just having cream under powder. In fact, with cream blushes, I'll add on top of powder as well. So for me, there are no hard and fast rules when it comes to makeup. It's whatever works best. So for me, adding this on top of powder seems to work just fine. And one of the reasons I do add on top of powder is I want to set my makeup, but it also is lighter than my forehead color. You can see I just deepened it. But you can see how natural this bronzer is, especially when I mix them together. So I just want to bring that color back to a little bit deeper because it is anyway. Otherwise it kind of looks like a mask. And I don't powder that heavily on my forehead either, so that might have something to do with it as well. That is really quite a lovely foundation, so I'm glad I revisited it. This is Tiger Eye, and I really like these formulas. They were so different. I have some Tom Ford products. I don't use them as much as I use other products like my Chanel products or my Chantecaille products, but I really like this formula. Someone had a question they'd like to see these after I use them a couple of times. So I will show you how they look after I use them, like maybe at the end of the month, at the end of January. No, February. It's February now. So I'll try to remember to show you at the end of the month how they look. But I'm going to go in with this color right here. This one. I think I went a little heavy-handed with that bronzer today. Beautiful. It really has the loveliest glow. Okay, let's go in with just a regular kind of brush today. We'll go in with, let me find one, this shade right here in the crease. I actually played with this morning just to see what it could do. And that's why I thought about how this might look without primer, because I played with it without primer. So let's go in the crease. Oh, that's pretty. Let's go in with this deepest shade in the outer corner. Okay, so these are really easy to work with. So it makes me want to revisit that other palette. I mean, it was a beautiful look, but I want to try that one without primer as well, just to see how it goes, because this is much easier to blend today versus the one in Rose Topaz. Is that the name? Rose Topaz. Yeah, this is easier to blend than, say, Rose Topaz from yesterday. Brush is a little bit sad because I tried to clean it off here just with a towel. I'm going to take a little bit of that salmony shade and just add that to the eyelid. I'm going to try taking this as an eyeliner like I did on the other palette and see how that works. That worked well, not as intense as the one that I used yesterday, Rose Topaz, but it's still quite dense in its pigmentation. So let me go ahead and tightline, add an eyeliner and mascara. I tightlined with Earth by Chantecaille. It's a beautiful dark brown eyeliner. I went in the waterline here with Brun Agape by Chanel, and then I went in, where did it go? Then I went in with a Victoria Beckham, hit myself in the face. I went in with the Victoria Beckham eyeliner. This is in bronze, just right here, right in the center. So that's what's catching the light. I just wanted to do something a little bit subtle, kind of to mimic this shade right here, this one, but in the waterline. So right in the center. And then I just wanted to go in with a fluffy brush and take this color and go above right here, right below the eyebrow on the outer end. So you can see the difference. It's subtle, but just brings about that shade slightly, that lovely peach shade. This has more glow to it than yesterday's palette, Rose Topaz. This is a more serious palette, I want to say. It's not as light as this one. This one has a lightness about it, Tiger Eye, versus this one. It's a beautiful one though, but it's just a completely different look, which I also like. I thought we could go in with the Chanel blushes. I thought they would work really nicely here. The limited edition, the other limited edition blushes. This is in Peche Rosee. Use my ROEN brush again here. This is a lovely one. It does pull quite warm though, and I think it works really well with the that peach accent there in the brow because it has a golden sheen to it as well. Now the question is, what lip do I put with this? Okay, and then we're going to go in with Roussi right underneath. Just gives it a little bit more dimension than this. Actually, that's like the perfect blush for this palette because it has that golden glow to it and it really complements the eye. Beautiful. I would love a lip that kind of echoes this, something with like a brick tone. I have an idea. I've got Rouge Capri, that's not brick, but it has like a hint of that. For those who like something more subtle, where the eyes are the focus, we could go in with something like ROEN's Alba. So something like that looks really pretty. Yeah, and then you can really see the eyes. But this is Alba by ROEN. We can change our mind too if I like something else. Okay, so let's go in with the Charlotte Tilbury and see how that looks. I wonder if that's too warm. Let me see what else we have, but you can take a look at this. I want something with a little bit more of that. This kind of tone might be really pretty. A little bit more sophisticated, I think. Let's try Rouge Capri and see how that looks. They kind of remind me of each other. And they'll just kind of like make it a little bit less perfect. Yikes, not that imperfect. I'm totally outside the lines here. I just thought of a color that might ground this just a little bit more. I was trying to think of something with like a brownish tone or a brick tone. And I thought maybe this might be nice to layer on top. This is Moody by Victoria Beckham. So let's see, I just want to kind of add just a little bit more of this tone in there. See if this brings that out. There might be a little bit more purple in here, but it just brought that brightness down a little bit. I think I prefer that because it's not as bright, but also is not like dark or super red either. So I think that worked nicely. I think I would have liked still a little bit more brown, but I don't think I have any shades with brown. At least that I can think of right now. I think I have a lot of like things that might have some dark purple in them, but not brown. Okay, so let's pick a fragrance. I'm gonna go into this lovely fragrance discovery set that I received from Chantecaille. Let's see. This is like a warmer palette, so I want to go with something warmer, either Frangipane or Tiare. Tiare has bergamot, which I love, and also orange blossom. And it has, okay, so let's try Tiare. I haven't actually tried this one. Top notes are mate leaves, tiare flower, bergamot. Mid notes are orange blossom, mimosa, ylang ylang, and heliotrope. My mom says ilang ilang, so let me see how to pronounce that. Oh wow, okay, so lang lang is how it's pronounced on the internet. So it's got that, and then the dry down is woods, amber, and vanilla. Ooh, so interesting. I can really smell that there's a floral on the top note there that I'm really picking up. It's probably the tiare flower. Let me see what a tiare flower looks like. I can smell the orange blossom, that's lovely. It's a Tahitian gardenia. It looks like the pikake. Is it the same thing? It's a beautiful flower. It looks like the pikake flower. I wore that as my lei for my wedding. So it reminds me of that scent. Beautiful. Okay, just added a little bit more of the blur powder to the front of my face, the Chantecaille Perfect Blur Powder. It was really nice to revisit this foundation. It's beautiful, and now I remember why I loved it so much. Nice and hydrating, but not too dewy. Looks like your skin but better. Has enough coverage to call a true foundation. Does a really nice job of what a foundation is supposed to do, which is even out that skin tone. I feel like I didn't really need that much concealer actually, but I do want to continue to test out this Clé de Peau concealer. And the primer underneath was very nice as well, the Hourglass primer. Yeah, it looks really good. Let's talk about this palette. This is a lovely palette. I think this is easier actually to work with versus the one I featured yesterday, the Rose Topaz. This one here is what I featured. I love the shades in here too. A true neutral palette. Nothing warm in here. I mean, there's this shade, but it's barely warm. Lovely, lovely combination of colors. So I do want to try this, like I said, without primer because I did not prime my eyes today. And I wonder if that's why this was easier to work with today, because the only thing that was working to cling to the eye was actual product. Yeah, it did have a lovely ease about application. Really easy to blend, and then you could see if you wanted to build up that color. Now this one is not as deep as it appears here. You see more of the reflective quality in there. You could see a slight variation from this color, but it wasn't as distinct as it is in the pan. I loved this. I think that's a really subtle way to warm up the eye. Just added it here and on the lid. It's really pretty. Yeah, just a lovely glow. You can see it. So I love that right there. And then this color is beautiful as well. It seemed a bit less dense than this one right here, and it went on a little bit lighter as well. So overall, easier to work with, but again, I didn't have any primer underneath. I'm gonna wear this to dinner, see how it goes, look for creasing, see if that happens. There's nothing flaking off here though. Everything looks like it's very much intact and in place. And then I wanted to mention this, I had worn for, gosh, what time did I film that? I think I wore it for about 2 to 3 more hours after I filmed, and everything looked really, really nice before I washed my face. So nothing had moved or creased on this. So I was getting that crease resistant quality from that shadow. So I will watch for the same thing today and let you know how it goes, but it's just a lovely glow. These though are making me pay attention to the Tom Ford palettes, at least these 3. I think they're really beautiful. Again, the blushes went really well too. If you have Peche Rosee and Brun Rosee, actually I think if you went in with this as well as a blush, that would be beautiful with this, but together I think they worked really well, especially because there's this goldish kind of glow in this blush. Really beautiful. But let me know which one you prefer. I think there are purposes for both of these. They're so different, and it is really misleading online how similar they look. They are not the same at all. Completely different results, completely different color stories. So yeah, so I didn't really feel like that was conveyed well online, how distinct these were, but I love this palette. I think it's beautiful and one I know I will continue to wear again and again. But let me know which one you prefer so far. I'm really curious about your thoughts. And I know some of you picked up these palettes. Let me know what you think. They're starting to arrive. I'd love to hear your thoughts. But that is it for today's video, so please take care of each other. Stay well. If you enjoyed this video, if you learned something, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and I will see you next time.